Thinking about how you prioritize your time, how you decide where to spend your time. And I'm going to start with you, Amy. Now, you said you work for Mishmash, one organisation, for doing social media for 3 hours a week. Could you just sort of give us a sense of how you organise that time? What can you do in 3 hours?
I use Trello to plan and throw things onto like a week by week Trello board, so I know what I'm having to post about that week. It helps me note things down that I need to remember. I have different buckets for every week, so I know what's happening every week, and then I can move things about as well visually. So if I don't get time to do the report this week, I could quickly dump it into next week's bucket or move things around a little bit.
How do you get people's time when they're as busy as you doing other things?
Pretty much everyone I've ever worked with doesn't understand what social media achieves. So if you're saying, sit down with me and we can figure it out, they're usually pretty open to that.
From my experience, to get people on board with social media, there's a bit of work to do in sort of demonstrating the impact that your work is having. Sort of blowing your own trumpet a little bit to say, we did X, Y, Z and we engaged this many people, or this post had so many impressions, and presenting that in quite a straightforward way.
From my experience, there were a number of times I overdid it and I was completely burnt out. And that's because I wanted so badly to prove that I was so good at what I was doing. And therefore, you put the bar of expectations really high with clients. I've now learned that actually taking my time and letting people know I can do this at this time. Actually, sorry, I can't do this at this time because I've got something else that I'm doing. I still get the same results. It's actually not made any difference.
Do you have any sort of top tips for keeping yourself sort of feeling like you're afloat, you're keeping afloat?
I mean, I work pretty much exclusively from home now as well. And I think that really doesn't help, because before I used to be sat in an office and I could turn around and say, is this a stupid thing to post about? Or this person said this thing on Facebook. Should I take this to heart and think about it all evening? So I'm not saying everyone should be mandated to go back to the office, but I think you need that discussion space, whether that's with a friend or with a colleague.
Do you think scheduling reaches get less reactional reach than live content? I have found my scheduled posts don't do as well.
You never know. There's always rumors about what the algorithm's doing and what effects. I think you can boil it down to the platforms want you to reach more people and get more engagement. If your posts get more engagement because they're interesting and people are interested in them, they'll do better. I can't tell you for certainty that Mark Zuckerberg hasn't put a tiny little bit of code in there that makes scheduled posts do badly, but I don't think that he has.
If anybody's got an answer to this, have you got any tips or tools for balancing planned ongoing comms with being spontaneous, responsive and conversational?
And just be open to a level of flexibility and move it. You can have a plan, but you need to have some flex because something could crop up, whether that's a trend that you want to get on board with that feels relevant and is a good fit for you, or whether it's some press that you want to boost that's happened a bit out of the blue. So yeah, building in some flex and not being so rigid.
You haven't mentioned newsletters yet. Any experienced thoughts on that? They work really well. I think using things like, I use MailChimp myself. Various platforms, but I found having some sort of kind of newsletter as part of your comm strategy is really helpful.
Love newsletters and email marketing, and I think if I was going to say to somebody saying I don't have a lot of time to spend on social media, I would say put your efforts into newsletters. Because you've got an engaged audience who have opted in to read and be informed about what you're doing in your content. There's different sorts of newsletters. You can investigate different styles of writing. It's also, we've already experienced one social media platform go down the toilet. So email list is a security blanket for reaching audiences rather than relying on third-party platforms. I found really works in terms of amplifying, which we've not really talked about. So amplifying what you're putting out there, because sometimes it can feel like you're putting stuff out into the ether and kind of crossing your fingers that people are going to pick it up and share it. Is using your connections and your networks to ask directly for a share, drop in an email with some copy that's ready to go, some images that are sized for the platform, and a cheeky request to ask, and share other people's stuff. So then when it comes to your turn to ask, you've got some goodwill.
I hope this seminar's helped to show that you don't need to do everything. And actually sometimes it's just about do the thing that you know you're good at, try and focus, don't get distracted by all the noise. And find that time to be a little bit playful and creative where you can. Eventually something will blow up and show everyone how great you are. So just good luck, everyone.